Welcome to Backyard Plinking. My name is Charles. I'll be your host as we go through and explore everything BB and pellet related, from air pistols to air rifles, targets, and ammo. It's a little cool outside this morning. Yes, it is actually me under all these clothes. Before we get started, I got to tell you, I'm really happy here in the U.S. that we use Fahrenheit instead of centigrade. If we were using centigrade, I wouldn't have a temperature right now. 0. Gee, why don't you move somewhere warm? What, Cuba? I'm in Florida now. I can't go any further that way unless I swim. I also want to apologize as this video goes forward. If you hear some loud clanking sounds like something chattering, it ain't my teeth. Anyway, I'm gonna look at an air rifle. This is actually a licensed air rifle because of the name. Winchester. Pump action. About 800 feet per second is what they're advertising. You take it out of the box. It does come with a 4x32 scope. Of course, you know how I feel about that. This is merely decoration. I still hadn't found out who makes this one yet. There are a couple of tags in there that says it's nitrogen charged. We'll have to come back and look at that. Fixed front sight. Pump action. Bolt brake. It does shoot BBs and or pellets. The thumb stock that is on here is not bad. It's a pretty good reach. I mean, I've got pretty good sized hands. From here up to and through the trigger, I mean, I'm good with it. A smaller individual, it might be a little bit of a struggle. Crossbolt safety. We got to get rid of this. I seem to be collecting a lot of these. Maybe next Christmas we'll have to give away some scopes, huh? The rear sight on this one does have the adjustment for elevation and also windage. There's a small screw that is there. So what you do is you loosen the screw up and you can move it left or right. That'll help you adjust where you're actually shooting at. The front sight does have a dot that's on the front of it. Makes it a lot easier to be able to acquire a target. This thing looks familiar, at least from here up, and it should. It resembles actually the Powerline series from Daisy. Same type of receiver. Now the foregrip on this one is a lot wider. This one is relatively narrow compared to the other one. So a smaller person, probably easier to be able to grab a hold of and you know, really get down with it. Well, let's see if we can take a shot or two. We've got some standard flat nose pellets that, oh yeah. It'll be fun trying to load this with gloves. Wait a minute. Aha. Got to be smarter than the tools you're working with. Gee, that worked pretty good. I need to do that every time. The thing is pretty lightweight. Now, we'll tell you the difference I noticed between this one, which if you pick up off of the shelf, which you can, It's going to be anywhere from the $60 to $70 range. Part of that is probably the licensing logo versus the regular 800 series that you can pick up for $40. One of the small differences, at least between these two particular ones that I have my hands on, is a trigger. The 800 series that's here, the trigger's pretty stiff from beginning to end. It's not a struggle, but it's a consistent application of pressure all the way through. This one is not. The trigger's a little softer. I mean, you're still applying the pressure, but if you were to shoot this one, then that one, then this one, then that one, you'd be able to see what I mean. Alright. I'm not real sure I can hit anything. Pretty sure I can't hit anything. Maybe it's all shaking. But this one in particular, probably what I wind up doing with this one is, and that works good. It's probably we'll probably go ahead and scope this one out and then leave the 800 series with the iron sights once I adjust the back of the range. That way we can have a real comparison between an optic and open sight, and be fairly consistent, because both of these things, as far as like the feet per second that they're supposed to be doing, they're both pump action, they're both made by the same manufacturer, you know, so that's a relative apples to apples kind of a deal. The only reason I would use this one instead of that one for the optic is because of the thumb hole. That might not seem like it makes any sense. However, you know, you've got a limited receiver that's on here, and depending on what kind of optic that you use, the eye relief is a big deal. You know, if it's too close, you're too small of a picture. If it's too far away, you know, it really opens up, which is great, but it looks a little fuzzy. So at least with the thumb hole, that kind of gives you a little bit more control over, you know, being able to move your eye relief just a little here, just a little there, or maybe if you have just a tweak of an angle because the crosshairs aren't exactly right. It's a whole lot easier to do with this because of the fact you got more control. I think I got it. It's compared to the 800 Powerline series, the weight's about the same. You know, the pump handle, it's almost the same gun, except for the fact that the trigger's a little different, and you know, obviously the stock, they're lengthwise from butt stock to the end of the barrel. I still like those chalk targets too. Man, you hit those and it just puts a hole right through them and they keep going. But you'll get to see this one more and more as we go through, when we start with some of the weird and wild targets, especially at a distance. I mean, a lot of the pistols and whatnot, there's a couple pistols that are going to be coming up that have a higher caliber, you know. So we'll use those from the same distances we do stuff like this. But it's going to be a lot of fun. But Daisy, licensed by Winchester. A hole in it. The only thing is, another 20-30 bucks more for something like this versus this one. Time will tell. I'll let you know. Till next time, my name is Charles. It's been Backyard Plinking. Plug that heating pad back in.
Don't blame me, 'cause I don't give a damn.